Hello, and welcome to COMP3218 Game Design and Development. This is a Let's Play for Batch 11. I'm Adrian Chapman, a lecturer on the course, and with me today is...
Dan Hobson, I'm a demonstrator.
Excellent. So, do you want to tell us what they were asked to do for this coursework?
Yeah, so for this coursework, we wanted the students to design a small game prototype that shows off a clear core dynamic and explains that through a tutorial.
Great, let's get into our first game.
Okay, let's have a look at this first game. We have, by the looks of it, 6 levels that we'll play through. Of course, we'll start at level 1, and I imagine that start jumps us straight into that first level. We've got on screen some good tooltips: restart, hint, and menu. Check the menu pauses us like so. And it is a little bit true that whatever these blocks in the bottom corner are doing obscure the starting info just slightly, but I think we can work around that.
Yes.
And we've got a 2-player game here, so we've got A and D, which presumably is first player. Yeah, so I'm the green block here, I'm moving around. And looks like Age, you're on arrow keys.
I'm on arrows, yep.
Yeah. So we can each move, and there's some sort of chain between us. The game's called Tethered, so I'm very much expecting that if you try and run away, yeah, you're dragging me. There we go. So, I could probably drag you back as well. And we're assuming here we've got a cooperative game. I think we're not intentionally fighting each other. We're going to probably try and both, like if...
Oh, look, I can't jump on top of your platform. Look at that.
Okay, so presumably I can't go on the purple one.
Yeah, and I can't go past the purple one. I get stuck.
Yeah, so green has collision on green, purple has collision on purple, and we both sit. And then, our goal is over this way, so I can go...
Oh, maybe not. Oh, I got a gem.
Yeah. So the gems are the collectibles here, I guess, that we're trying to obtain. So the interesting thing here is, I can go through that platform, you can go through that platform.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining that we're later going to start seeing these mechanics result in things where, I sit at the top and you kind of fall down a hole and get held or something, right? So, so yeah, are we going to have to be coordinated that...
Oh, wait. Wait, whoa. That seemed like a little bit of a bug there, didn't it?
No, I think that was okay. I think that you fell through that green platform and hit whatever this kill line is.
But I should...
So I think I have to jump on you, and then I jump over here. You can jump on me.
Gosh, yeah.
And then you'll be safe.
Right,
and then you can jump to the end. Oh, almost.
No.
No, I went too far. Let's try it. Okay, now you can go. And I think holding up does actually give you a longer jump, so you've got control of how far you go.
We did it!
Oh, there was a star. We've ignored the star,
Oh.
But I guess that's a additional objective for the risk reward potentially here.
Yeah. We also got a little sound effect there in terms of...
So we can do this funny thing where you're hanging from the chain. You can end up...
I can't push up.
So you can't jump because you're not on a platform anymore.
Yeah.
I might have stuffed us there. Yeah. So if I fall down,
and then I come this way. Whoops.
Oh, it might be a timing thing, right? Like I have to land on this platform for you to be able to. Almost.
There's also this down arrow. What do they think? I'm gonna push the down arrow. Ready?
Yeah, no, that
down arrow didn't do anything.
Is it? I think I was able to swing by going left to right a little bit, so I had some control over. This might just be indicating you should intentionally fall off the ledge. Oh. So you jumping up there pulled me off my platform, so I have to be careful to not fall. And then, do you want to swing off to the left so you swing around, or do you want to jump off the right?
I don't know. I'm gonna go right. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Oh. Shoot. I think I should have just stayed where I was safe. Yeah. You go off that way. I'll sort of resist a little bit so I don't get dragged off. Oh, this might be salvageable.
All right, push.
Yeah.
Yay.
Awesome. There we go. Okay, we've got a thing that the chain wraps around, so I guess one of us has to go over it.
Oh, you can't go over it.
So we're pinned.
Okay.
If I just fall down, we're going this way, and then... Oh, so we're doing some very interesting sort of mechanics stuff here where you want to end up on one side, but I can't end up on the other side at the same time, so you've got to pull me back up. I jump over here. You can then fall down, and I have to get close to the pivot so you've got space to maneuver. Yeah, awesome. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I am engrossed by the game.
Yeah, I'm finding it quite compelling.
Yeah.
I'm immediately stopping talking so I can think about actually solving this.
Yeah.
We've got a star that is an optional objective. We've got our green and purple that we need to actually find. So we need to get you over to the right of the screen, which looks to me like I need to be sitting up on that top ledge so that you have the... Oh, that didn't work.
There we go.
If I'm over here, then you can probably swing round.
The
length of the chain is the issue, right?
Oh, we've got to go around the little curly Q thing.
Yeah, if I can... Oh, can I do this without... Can I get over it? Oh, that wasn't what I meant to do. It's interesting, the weight of the chain, it makes it a little unpredictable.
Okay.
But I think this might make it... is that the right... Oh. Start again. Okay. I think I can see what we're going for here. I'm going to go past, and I think I'm going to intentionally keep holding right so that you'll...
Or what happens if you go... There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
And then here, then you might have to give me slack as I go. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
almost. Can you swing now?
Uh-huh. Oh, I can't swing a lot.
We're getting there. I feel like I'm going to get pulled over the pivot if I...
Oh, we're almost there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Can you, as I come to the far end of this arc, can you run towards the wall? Oops.
Yeah. I'm thinking...
I think we might be...
Might not be quite coordinated enough
to get there. I don't think I'm coordinated enough here.
I think we've got the right sort of idea.
Yeah.
The question is, there's a little bit of weird jiggling where the collision boxes are doing strange things, but if we can kind of abuse them a little bit, then we can kind of charge it up and then make a big swing all at once.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. I don't have any idea how we get to the star. Like, that seems beyond us. But,
Whee! Almost!
Yeah, so if I drag you in and you start swinging, then when I release it, you actually swing further. Yeah, that was the wrong timing. I'll give it one more go. Otherwise, we can try and go for the block on the other side.
Yep.
Let's see if that's any easier. So, let you go now.
Nope.
Not quite.
Let's go to the other side.
Okay, so...
Let's kill ourselves.
We'll probably die if... Oh, yeah. I might... Oh, yeah, there we go. So I guess in this case...
I'm gonna...
You can go over the top, right?
Oh, can I? Oh, I can, can't I?
Yeah, you can go through green, so you can go and position up there. I'm going to have to go round.
Do I want to wrap the chain before you go anywhere?
I think we want the chain shorter, so I think you do want to wrap round. Yeah, and then hopefully... no, so so I can't go round whilst the chain's shortened, so I think you have to give me the slack, and then I have to sit just here. Then you can go around the pivot, and then the chain is hopefully short enough that... can swing. Oh, yes. Okay. We have successfully done that bit. Should we go back to the other side and see if we can make a crack at the harder one?
Yeah. I feel a little stuck right now. I don't know.
Can I move around to give you? Yeah, there we go. There's some. Oh, there we go. This way. Oh yes.
You sit on green. Yep.
So can I jump all the way across?
No, I'm gonna sit on you.
Yeah. You can jump on the middle bit, and then I can jump on you to get across here.
Okay.
And I'm going to try going around that way. I don't know if that is actually more effective.
I found it, like, I was able to get up there when I jumped on you. Like, I jumped over the pivot as you...
Do this. Oh, we're safe again.
Almost. Let's try a swing or two.
Yeah.
There, we got it.
Okay. Awesome.
Woo!
that was challenging, but it was quite satisfying.
It was.
That was just hard enough that we felt pretty compelled to try it, and we didn't quite get to the point where we wanted to give up.
No. All right. Where is my dot? Oh,
so you need to get top left, which looks like it's. You can go along the top platform.
I can go along the top.
If I go along, there's red kill boxes.
Red bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't immediately spot them, so
no, me neither.
They could have been maybe slightly more angry looking, but the question is, can you get round there? Oh,
sorry.
In fact, I could stand here. That gives you more maneuverability.
Yes, it does, and keeps you away from the red kill bar.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, you can go up that way, and presumably I have to move to this spot. And the question is...
You can pass through purple, can't you?
Yeah, I can't stand on those ledges.
Can you go over the bar, though?
if I do, I'll fall down to where the star is. Like I could
Yeah.
that wasn't one. I ran into the wall. In principle, I could fall down and hit the star. You'd have to drag me back up
Yes.
to do that. I do like that each of these puzzles is broadly 2 separate puzzles, one for each of us, but of course we're working together, so we're solving each of those in different ways. But they're not symmetric. Like, once you solve the first puzzle, you're not obliged to just do all the mirror moves, which is quite nice. I'm wondering...
No, I can't get there.
Is there something where, like, you step on the platform and I jump down a pit to throw you in the air? Not quite. The angles aren't going to work for that. I am at least safe here, because this wall that I'm touching now is not a kill wall.
All right. No, I can't get anywhere near that if you're not in safe land.
Yeah. So you can go.
Yeah.
I have to be up here for you to jump off.
And you may even need to be in that gap above the pivot zone there.
Yeah.
We'll see. Ready? Here we go.
I thought I maybe died hitting the orange pivot there. I don't know. I'm gonna try. If I just. Oh, I think it's that I can't land on top of the orange, so I slide down it and then hit the red.
Hit it, yeah.
So I think I can't get through there, or at least certainly my dexterity is not enough to get me through there.
Right.
Shall we go the other side first?
Okay, let's go this way.
So, I can swing her along the bottom bit where the purple is. So I guess if you maybe... Oh yeah, that's too far. the question... Oh yeah.
Come stand on me again.
Yeah. It's maybe good for you to stand on that platform on the top right, because then when I swing I might be the right length. Is that going to work? I'm thinking I'm going to jump off now and see how far I swing. Yeah, so I can go through there and go left and right a little bit to try and generate some swinging.
Good.
So I can get that bit. And the question is, I think you're going to have to come down to the next purple platform.
For you to go up.
Yeah, so if I can get myself back on the platform.
Back up there, yep. I'll give you a little bit more there.
There we go.
Oh, it's that extra, that I will say it's a little frustrating, is that extra swing is just enough.
Yeah. I feel like if the weight of the boxes had been a little bit more than the weight of the chains, then we wouldn't get dragged around by the chain quite so much, which would have felt a little nicer. But I think that's more of a nitpick than anything else. So I'm on there.
Okay,
so,
I'm gonna come up.
Yeah, we're in this thing where you need to jump off and I need to not fall off.
Okay, I'm jumping. You don't fall.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, cool. So I think I can probably just jump for that now. Oh, okay.
I actively have to hold you when you go.
Yeah, exactly. We'll give that another go.
Whoops.
So you're there. I can do the swing. I can get on here. Then I need to not drag you. You need to not drag me. And then I'm going to jump for it in 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't strong enough.
Okay. Do we want to try the second half of the level? I'm wondering, is this level 6? We could just jump ahead. One of the nice things about the level.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
Let's, if we go back to the main menu, we've understood how to do this problem, and we're just not quite dexterous enough to solve it. So, yeah, okay, that was the final level. So
okay.
we've seen all the bits that we need to see.
So how about this? Let's kind of play slowly. Go back to an easier one because we need to walk through the marketing spreadsheet while we're here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a quick look around kind of graphics, audio, information design. To be honest, I actually think that the audio is very nice. It has background music. It has beep beep as we're jumping.
Yep.
It's very simple graphics, but they're really effective.
The color coordination, of course, is the whole point, and they've done a very good job with that.
Yes, absolutely. Here you go. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
So I actually think that we're in the professional category. It's complete and effective. The information design, we have every piece of information we need, no matter how, even though it's a very simplistic...
Yeah, there's not really a UI, but there doesn't need to be. We were given some of the controls on the start page, and that was just enough. Like, it wasn't overly cluttered, and because the controls are very intuitive, we don't really need constant reminders about... how we move and so on.
Exactly. And in this case, so let's move on, like controls, mechanics, bugs. I haven't seen any bugs. The controls are usable.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Certainly they've chosen reasonable key bindings. There was that thing we mentioned.
Sorry.
There was that thing. Oh, I managed to miss that one. I don't know if we go back for it.
How did you miss that one?
I went too far to the left. I swung around it rather than. So if I go up here, you might have to drag me back towards it.
All right.
There we go. Maybe on this one, you drag me to the right. Oh, not quite.
Oh, sorry.
Sweet.
Okay, let's talk about the controls are they friendly?
Yeah.
Whoops, I missed that, sorry.
We briefly mentioned kind of the weight of these boxes. It's very easy to drag each other around and very easy for the chain to drag you around. I don't know if that was intentional design, whether that was intentional design or something that they hadn't really checked. I think that it works to their advantage that the players drag each other. That gives them lots of good mechanics. We're struggling a little bit just to get the balance point for where those things are, but I think that's mostly on us. Oh, I managed to get the star as well.
Good job.
Success.
So then, I don't know how I got there.
I pushed you by accident. Can we retrieve it? Yes. And then I'll come this way.
Alright, there we go. Mechanic-wise, basically we have left, right, up, down. We've got the ability to take stars and diamonds. We've got various. We've got the chain, and we're actually using the chain. So there's mechanics around the chain itself.
They're really making good use of the physics simulation, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm assuming this chain is a whole bunch of things that are connected to each other using the physics that's built into Unity, and they're making a real good. They're exploiting that and using it as their game mechanic in an interesting way.
Yep. All right, so I actually think we've got multiple mechanics, and I particularly like that they are using very different types of mechanics here. It's not just collecting stars and diamonds, we're using the chain and everything else. So multiple mechanics, smooth controls, reasonable complexity, and no bugs. Nicely done. Let's talk about kind of goals, risks, rewards in this.
So it took us, one of the first couple of levels just to find out what we were going for, but I feel like that first level taught us well enough. Oh, we're almost there.
Almost there. Jump! Jump!
But we moved around in a small level, and we discovered the level end when we got the things that matched our colours. That was pretty intuitive. I thought that the first thing was just to stand on the corresponding coloured pressure pads or something. But we tried that, and then we tried the next thing. So I was pretty happy with we've got our goals. There are clear risk rewards in this, trying to find the stars and things.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced I have any idea how we achieved the star on this particular level, but
no.
It does do the good puzzle aspect of easy core puzzle, or relatively easy core puzzle, and hard additional puzzle that you can work for.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether or not getting a star is something that you maintain after dying or not. It's possible that the solution here is, if you want the star, you swing around and I throw myself off a cliff.
We accidentally got a star on the last level. Can we hit our menu and see if there's any kind of...
Yeah, does it tell us?
Yeah, exactly.
So in the main menu, level select.
So we haven't actually...
We're not told.
We're not told kind of how well we're doing in this.
It would be quite nice if they just had star next to them if we'd completed them or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, at the very least, a tick box to say you've done this level, maybe also with the star that you could have had.
So I think we're actually in a coherent set of goals versus rewards.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that it's like... I mean, it's clear and straight, as clear as in straightforward, but I don't know that there's this huge tension between... Like, you can either get the star or you really can't. So yeah, well done, you got it there, very good.
Interesting, different strategy.
Yes. Pacing-wise, let's have a chat. Pacing, the puzzles are clearly getting harder.
Yeah, should we go back to the selection screen for that? So we can just about see them on this one. In fact, so this first level is actually, the tutorial isn't counted as a level here. We can see that separately if we jump on. This thing isn't counted as a level, it's just teaching us to move. I think that's right. We haven't pressed H for the hint. I don't know what...
let's go to one of the harder levels and press H. I forgot about that.
Ah, yes. So actually...
Doesn't work in
H
this.
doesn't do anything in the tutorial, but let's assume that if we go to... I don't know, we'll start with the hardest way. If we press H... No, I'm not getting... Is there anything happening? Capital H? No. I think we've maybe not got an implemented hint system.
Yeah. So I think there's a clear tension rising over time in a coherent pattern on this one.
Yeah, and in particular, they introduce a couple of different mechanics, the platforms and the chain, but then also these pivot things, and they're clearly building to this final level that uses all of them, right? So that's very nice. This one, slightly has the... I keep forgetting that the kill walls are kill walls. They're not quite angry enough for my liking. But that's a minor information design thing, mostly because they look very similar to the green and the purple ones.
Yep.
They give the impression that they're kind of like a neutral color or whatever.
Yeah. So I think actually let's pop back to that tutorial level because I think we should go talk about the tutorial. So within the tutorial itself, we definitely have we have an explanation of controls here, and there's a little bit of explanation, like, right, we're seeing here that you can hop on the green, but I can't pass the purple, but I go through the green. So there's definitely, through exploration and play, some, hey, look, you can pass through that, but you can't pass through that. It's just, and we're picking up stars. Can you pick up you can't even pick up the purple star.
And
so
the order they present them actually results in, I try and get the purple one and I can't, and then I try and get the green one and I can.
Yeah.
So that's all really nice.
It is. So especially even in the tutorial level, there's this nice, somewhat aligned with play for sure. And then what I really do like is within the levels themselves, they have very clearly kind of moved along, and you're teaching us different things. So in this case, that we discovered the kill floor pretty quickly in the beginning.
They did a really good job. That previous level, we cannot possibly solve it unless we have used the fact that green collides with green, purple collides with purple. And this one's interesting because, we would assume initially that I can't possibly make this jump, I have to go all the way to the green one.
What if you sit on my head and then I try to get the star? I'm going to jump in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Hey!
Lovely. That's nice. That certainly rewards the coordination together kind of thing. It is slightly interesting that collision with each other always happens even though we're the opposite colours.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't collide with purple platforms, but I do collide with the purple player.
Yeah.
It's slight inconsistency. I think the fact that there's the tether between them makes it pretty clear that that's still fairly intuitive.
Yeah.
It's not as intuitive as it could possibly be, but it's still pretty good.
Yep. So what do we think their core dynamic is playing this?
This has got to be spatial reasoning.
I hope it's spatial reasoning. Let's see their game notes. It says they are spatial reasoning.
The length of the chain being an interesting thing that pokes that specifically, right?
Yep. It doesn't suit Race to the End because there's no time limit or pressure. It's just trying to get extra stars and solving the puzzles. I agree completely. It is so they nailed the core dynamic, and it's a clear core dynamic that's supported by the primary mechanics.
For sure, right? The mechanics are you can only stand on certain platforms. Well, where the platforms are is the entire point of the game. And the things like the length of the chain and the physics interactions on how the chain swings, that's all, I would say, what level for the collection of mechanics that all support the core dynamics.
Yep. So the only thing we need to go through now is the feedback. So the feedback they received in their lessons was the game lacks a risk-reward feature, so they introduced a collectible star in harder to reach places, so they can decide to risk trying to get it or not. They said to make sure the players have even jobs, not just one of them doing all the work, which we've already commented on this. They did a great job with this.
Yeah, and I mentioned I like that the two halves of the puzzle
are not
end up asymmetric. Now, this one is symmetric,
and
the earlier ones are, but actually that's kind of nice. The earlier ones, you solve the problem and then you can get through it quite nicely. It's practice, and then you don't get bored when you're seeing the harder problems.
Yeah. They said that the minimalist style works as long as it's inconsistent. As long as it is consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They adjusted the colors to be complementary. Yeah, well done. Add sound effects, and you know what? You did great on the sound effects. Good jumping, collecting, dying. Good background music.
I've forgotten what the dying sound effect is. Should we jump to one of the...
Oh, we could just die here. We can just do that, you know.
I was going to jump to one of the really easy ones.
We have the power!
We can choose to die.
Uh-oh.
Did that have a sound?
I didn't hear a sound. No?
Oh, yeah, no. Kind of. Just
okay.
It's a little subtle, but you can just...
Yeah,
just
there
about.
it is. And then make sure that it's even pacing, and it gradually increases. So basically, and they did. They introduced one new mechanic every level, which they've done, and they reordered 2 of the levels because they found in playtesting that there was one mechanic that was slightly simpler than others. So that was really, I think, in this case, that feedback was addressed and changes have been successful. Well done on this.
It's very nice.
It was a really fun game to play. We were engrossed. Probably not a lot of commentary in there because we were solving puzzles so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for the game. On to the next.
Okay, so this next game is Magic vs. Mayhem. This is another 2-player game, and this time I'm playing it with Dave Millard, who is one of the lecturers for this course.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Dan. Thanks for that. I'm very happy to join you to have a look at this one. So it's a little bit unusual in that it's a 2-player game, and the way we do this is remotely, so that means that I have to play both players at the same time. But I do believe that you played this with Age the other day, Dan. Properly 2-player.
Yeah, we had a couple of issues with the recording, but we've had a go in the proper 2-player context as well, so I can comment on that.
Brilliant. So we'll go through it, and although I'm doing controls for both people, hopefully we'll still be able to report on what it was like when there were 2 separate people. So here we go. Magic versus Mayhem. So I've got play, tutorial levels, and controls. So have a look at the controls. Oh crikey, that's a bit much, isn't it?
It's a bit bright, and the white text on white background in a couple of places is a little hard. But
so we've got 2 problems. So one is the one you just described, which is the display that's really hard to read, right? So that's not ideal. Second thing is I'm not going to remember those. I'm trying to think if I don't think I'd remember it even if I was just playing one person.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the WASD arrow keys is pretty intuitive. The using things are kind of just arbitrary nearby buttons.
5, 6, 7. Yeah. So the idea is it's designed to be played with 2. It's designed to be played so you can get 4 hands on one keyboard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's go out to the main menu. So that's not ideal. I wonder if they do anything to choose a level. Well, actually,
you probably want to go for the tutorial first, although I don't think this has a back in the menu.
It doesn't have a back in the menu. So I'm going to kill it, and we'll reload it, and I will use the tutorial. Again, so back in. So this time I will hit the tutorial level.
Yeah.
That's better. Right. Hello players, I will be your guide for this tutorial. Okay, interesting. So you've actually got an avatar of the guide. I wonder if that will be a thing. Player 1 will control the character on the right, while player 2 will control the character on the left. So if we got WASD is using that one, left arrows is using that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so player 1 use the up arrow to jump. You can press it a second time in the air to double jump. Oh, that's a bit strange.
Yeah, the physics are a bit weird. There's no acceleration. I think it's constant velocity, so the movement feels a little floaty.
It's not even. It feels like I'm teleporting. I'm not actually transitioning between the. It's odd. Okay, press up, and he instantly jumps up.
Yeah.
Same with that one.
Yeah, actually, I think the upwards and the downwards motion is different, right? Like as you say, teleport upwards, fall down at constant velocity.
Yeah, float downwards. Yes, you're right. Yes, that's it. There's some monsters. Let's try attacking them. Player 1, jump up and use the down arrow to perform a ground pound attack. Player 2, you can perform the ground pound using the S key. So what's odd about that is there's no feedback at all. So did I damage the monster? No.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it damages specifically where you land, and you have to land on the monster's head or something to. Yeah, collisions in this are a little bit ambiguous, which is a.
In.
Okay.
Right, and unless the tutorial is set up. So one of the things they've done, which is good, is they have the text that follows you through the tutorial and progresses when you actually do the thing it says. But I'm wondering whether, as a result of that, they're actually pausing some of the other bits of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is true. There are certain contexts where actions don't behave the way that they usually do.
Which is not
tutorial, but it's not clear that it's because it's tutorial that they're not happening.
Yeah. And that's not ideal, right? Because you're trying to teach me how the game engine works. So player 1, you can use the comma key to throw up a net to protect yourself. This will also hurt the monster. But that just goes straight up. I'm very lost here. How do I attack? It will also hurt the monster, but it's not hurting the monster. And how is that protected?
So this is one of the things that we found yesterday is that eventually when you've got 2 players fighting each other, you can attack people above you with this net. But the tutorial, there's no possibility of getting underneath the monster. So you cannot possibly test out the damaging monster with the net in this tutorial.
And player 1 is just this random, they're both, as you say, random keys, which makes it quite difficult. Player 1, use the full stop key to throw a spear left and the slash key to... See, that's odd as well. So you don't throw a spear in the direction you're facing, you throw it... So
you can run left and fire right at the same time if you want to.
So what was it? Sorry, full stop and slash.
Comma, full stop and slash.
So the slash is working. So
Yeah.
if I move to the right, no, it's not. Where's that?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not very responsive. There's a cooldown, but it doesn't show the cooldown. Okay.
Actually, I think I noted that the three interactions you've been given are fire left, fire up, essentially, and fire right. But the order of the keys doesn't match that. The order of the keys is the fire up and then fire left, fire right.
Yes, you're right. This game isn't over. You can fight each other. Put your skills to test and see who comes out on top. Okay, so I can.
I'm betting on Dave to win this one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I'm going to try and ground pound because I. Not doing anything.
Yeah.
Very.
I don't know if that's a thing with the collisions or a thing with how the ground pound is activated. It might be you got to jump and hold the down. And
Yeah.
okay, yeah. It's not tap down. It's fire
Yes,
down. But you've got to
yes.
collide with them whilst holding down or something.
You're right. There we go. And then that does the spears. Yeah, go on, and then that one can attack that way. It's very, very clumsy. I find it hard just to. It's
The
almost.
controls are not very responsive, which is a bit of an issue for a game where you want to be very precise about your movement and.
No one wins.
I
I'm
think-
back here.
Yeah.
So it is worth saying, I think this was the work of a single person.
Yeah.
So we ought to bear that in mind when we think about the scope.
Mm.
So I think we've seen the whole game now, but that's probably because of the fact that it was a single person. Shall we go through the mark scheme?
Sure. I'll lead us through. You can try some of the different levels as we're going through. We'll start with presentation. So we want to look first at the graphics, the audio, and the information design. Do you feel like you've got all the information you need presented to you on that screen?
So there are some bits of information missing. So the lack of a cooldown, for example.
Yeah.
That's problematic. The other thing is the health is is actually quite hard to see.
Yeah, it's not where you're looking on the screen, and I think I'm right in saying there aren't big animations or sound effects or something when you take damage or deal damage. So you sort of
There's
stumble
very
into the other person and then have to take your eyes off the fight to go and see if anything happened.
yeah. So I oh, that's kind of interesting. So yes, so I think the information design is they're giving us the crucial information, but there's definitely a lack of feedback during the fighting, and some of the information is kind of in the wrong place, I think.
How do you feel about graphics and audio?
So the graphics,
There's
they're
a bit
kind
of styles, right? Like
yeah, I mean, yes, it's actually not necessarily different in graphical styles. It's difference in sort of graphical genres. So I look like I've got two sort of Western characters, and now they're fighting in a modern city, and that's a bit strange.
yeah. I find the shadows in the background quite visually appealing, but it doesn't kind of necessarily line up with this kind of game. Often really is just completely 2D flat, but the depth effect doesn't communicate much.
Yeah, so I think they're kind of consistent, but they're not particularly appealing, and there's a certain element of inconsistency. The font used is very basic, for example, and I also thought that the menus, that was quite hard to read. So I think, what would a satisfactory be?
Workable, effective, but some inconsistencies, which sounds about right.
I think that's about right. So, for example, I've got music, but I've got no sound effects.
Yeah.
So that takes us on to kind of meaningful play. Living room. You know, I'm tiny. This is sort of... Oh no, I just.
Yeah.
And also, I'm tiny, and but then I've got tiny couches down there as well. What? Totally lost. Okay. There we go.
So in terms of controls, what controls do you have?
So the controls are problematic, right? So I'm going to leave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this guy here. I'm going to leave Hat Man there. I'm just going to play with this one for a minute. So I've got shooting it up and then 6 and 7. So first of all, it is weird that I press a key to go fire in different directions. I would expect just to have a fire and go in the direction I'm facing. I just think cognitively that's just a weird thing to do.
It results in you having an extra button to press.
Yeah.
Unless there was some mechanic that utilized it, like, if it was really effective to fire out of your back whilst running away, and that was meaningful play, it might be justified.
But it's sticky that as you've set out, the buttons are in the wrong order, which is also a kind of challenging. So it's very difficult to remember, and they're fairly arbitrary, which I think you can't really avoid for a game like this, but is unfortunate. The actual controls itself, the way they behave, the fact that you have a teleport jump and you have that kind of floaty land is also not ideal. So I think the controls are quite problematic. I would describe it at least as sort of challenging. And then in terms of the mechanics, so I've got walking around, I've got jumping, I've got the slamming down, I've got firing left and right. So there's definitely a couple of mechanics I've got. But again, it's not a huge set.
All attack, and your options are attack up, left, down, or right.
I think we can make some allowances here for the fact it's a solo piece of work, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd expect that one of the things you'd expect from that is fewer mechanics in the game, essentially. So what would a satisfactory be?
That's playable, so fewer mechanics, usable controls, may have some minor bugs. We might be there.
I think a poor would be
few mechanics, awkward controls, maybe have serious bugs. That's possible. Certainly, we were saying the controls are awkward. In terms of bugs, there's a few bits where some levels you can just clip out of the world. You can just sort of climb up the trees and then jump out of the map and things like that. But
let's have a look. Play that. Go to the dungeon. See if that's any different.
Yeah, those boxes. If you want, you can just jump out of the level on the side. Yeah, I think you don't actually fall out of the world. You just end up off screen and you can come back later. But
I can jump over there. Off.
Goodbye.
So I've not done it. I've just pressed right. I'm going to press left now and see if I come back. Yeah, I'm pressing left. Is he going to come back?
Yeah, no idea how far you've gone.
So all right. So it feels to me that maybe. Even with the allowances, I think the controls are quite difficult. And there's one or two of these bugs that are effectively game-ending bugs because I can't recover from that. So I think probably...
We probably are saying there's few mechanics as well, right? Like it's attack.
Yes.
Sure, you've got different directions, but
so
really it's one mechanic.
I think this is a case where it would probably be poor, but maybe because it's the work of a single person, we make an allowance and say it's halfway between poor and a pass because we wouldn't expect so many mechanics from the game.
Yeah.
You seem to have totally lost my other person.
Yeah. Also, there's no exit menu or anything like that. I think you have to read
or any kind of way of saying having multiple bouts or best of 3, best of 5.
Yeah.
No kind of feedback on how you're killing the person, etc. Right. Let me restart the game and then we will get on to the next thing. Hang on a second.
Yeah. So the next thing we'll be considering is level design. So we're going to start thinking about what our goals, risks, and rewards are. And to load.
Okay, so goals, risks, and rewards then. Goal is very clear.
Yeah.
They tell you, and it's obvious from the battle. Risks and rewards.
This is a weird one, right? Because they've directly made a competitive 2-player game, which means that really all these goals, risks, and rewards are very dependent on the other player. Right? The goal is wherever the other player is.
Right.
And the risk and rewards depend kind of on what the other player does.
Okay, but the way so if you take a traditional fighting game like Tekken or what's the other one, the big one?
I think it's Smash Bros.
Yeah, something like Smash Bros. Or, well, actually, I'm thinking about those kind of more classic, kind of older, complex games that are less about sort of brawling and more about one-on-one. Street Fighter's what I'm thinking of.
Sure.
So those games have combos and specials, right?
Yeah.
And they are automatically risk reward because the combo it becomes it's a risk because you're locked into a sequence of moves, but the reward is if you can pull it off, you do spectacular damage. The kind of specials they typically have a power up which are signaled to the other player, right?
Yeah.
So the risk reward is okay. I'm going to make myself vulnerable for a few seconds, but if the other person can't take advantage of that, then I will do a lot of damage. So that's how I would say a fighting game would normally make this work.
And to go with that, right? Something like block or dodge or grab, grapple, anything of that kind that allows you to kind of do a counter, right? If you don't have a counter, then
Yes.
there's
exactly.
very little
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah. So unfortunately here, I don't think there's anything really. There's nothing. There's nothing that sets up a risk or reward at all.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to.
Found, dominant strategy is sit there and mash an arrow key or
just
mash a shoot button. There's not really any downside to it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that can be done to counter it.
I mean, they've got a kind of interesting counter where that net shoots upwards, although it's not shooting for some reason. Why isn't that shooting upwards? Is it hitting the? Hang on.
You might be clipped inside the boulder or something.
Being the boulder,
Yeah.
There we go. So if I, so that's it's not really a risk reward, right? That's about creating a sense of balance and saying everything that you can do as a player, there is a counter, right?
Yeah.
So there's no dominant strategy. So I think they've done that quite nicely, but there's just no risk and reward at all. So I think for this one, goals are super clear. So goals are probably at the satisfactory level, probably, or good even. But the risk rewards are pretty much absent. So overall, I think again we might say it's somewhere between a poor and a pass, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's being slightly generous because it's a solo piece, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Also a shame that these dungeons aren't more radically different, I think. They all feel very similar. They've got kind of a couple of obstacles.
We'll maybe come to it when we talk about, well, the next thing is pacing, so let's talk about that now. They've got 4 levels, not necessarily levels the way that we were kind of intending, where you've got easy level, medium level, hard level, and everything sort of comes together on at the end. They're really just 4 different environments that are pretty similar.
I think one of the challenges of choosing a 2-player game, so that we don't tell them explicitly that it should be a 1-player game, right? But that is always our advice to the people, and the reason for that is it's quite hard to get pacing right in a 2-player game. You have to kind of ramp the stakes up between the 2 players because you're not in control of the difficulty, as it were. So that might be a case of saying, well, you might introduce new weapons or more complex environments, right? More complex interactions with the environments that the 2 players can use.
Some of these stage fighting games have, the stage moves and there's arena hazards and all of these kind of things that result in the first minute of the game is fairly straightforward, and then the second minute of the game there's something terrifying that you're running away from.
Or or there are, like you said, you introduce hazards or you introduce third enemies and that kind of stuff. So again, here there's nothing like that. So I would say that the pacing is very flat. There is a separate tutorial level, and I know we'll talk about that separately. Yeah. So that does provide, that obviously shows a different level of engagement, where they've got enemies, right? So they've had to put code in for enemies for the tutorial, and then they don't use it in the game.
Yeah, that could have been quite a simple thing that wouldn't have taken extra health. You just spawn some of those monsters. If you kill the monster, you get health back, or you get something.
So if it was me, I'd have done something like said, okay, so level 4, I've got 2 platforms, and you start on the top one, and the bottom one has got 3 enemies patrolling up and down, right?
Yeah.
Literally just moving to the left and right, and that's all they're doing. And now you've got a kind of a sense of, you've got a sense of progression.
If nothing else, it presents a threat and it feels more tense. But even mechanically, it would be simple to.
And again, it introduces more strategic elements because you can then try and knock the other player perhaps into the monsters or something.
Yeah.
So in terms of pacing, then what would be a pass?
Tension somewhat rises over time.
Or
variations in tension, but no coherent pattern. Whereas down at absent, pacing is completely flat.
Do you think there are variations in pacing?
There's some amount of it. It's not even the case that there's a timer on screen that says last 10 seconds, get in your big moves now, or something that would have driven some pacing there.
Yeah, there's some minor variations in pacing. So now, for example, player 1 is on 4%, so that feels like it's more tense for them because their health is lower. But it's not making anything of that. The music hasn't changed. The graphics don't reflect it. The gameplay doesn't reflect it. He's not staggering around or struggling or doing. So all of those things which kind of feel like they're just aesthetic are actually in a fighting game contributing to that feeling of progression.
Even just making the health go like bright red or something. Attention. Yeah.
So I think we would have to say that for pacing it's probably absent, but we might say that it's not 0. It's slightly higher than that, but still at the absent level.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay, so what about what's next?
Tutorial. So, unfortunately, you can't. Oh, there we go. You can't get back to the tutorial without someone dying, but timed that well.
Tutorial. So there are bits of this tutorial I really like. So I like the fact that it takes you through and it guides you and it shows you. It doesn't just tell you. But then there's also some sticky bits. So the fact that it's quite brittle. So it's kind of now player 2 has to do it. Up arrow and then jump up and use the down arrow to use a ground pound attack. There we go.
A thing that comes out of being a two-player game is guiding the players through this tutorial is a little harder. They've given themselves a difficult task, which is you have to guide 2 separate players through it, and they don't necessarily progress at the same pace. Right?
No.
So it gives you 2 both. One player has done use the arrow keys, and the other player is sitting waiting for the other person to do that step.
I can also imagine that one player would be pressing WASD and moving around while the other player is reading the controls, and then they'd automatically skip their bit of the tutorial.
Yeah, and likewise, I'm pretty sure the tutorial ends when either player has killed their monster, and this can result in one player knows what's going on, the other player hasn't even tried shooting yet.
So I think I like the fact they actually have an explicit tutorial level. I think that's rather nice. And I also like the fact that they dump you into a fight here. So the tutorial actually does have a fight in it. Right? Very nice. What would a pass be for the tutorial?
Let's see. Gradual explanation of gameplay and controls revealed as you play. There is some gradual explanation. I wouldn't say revealed as you play. It's kind of the least amount of try moving. You've done moving. Try shooting. You've done shooting. Try this.
So what would a poor be then?
Some explanation of gameplay and controls. It's maybe better than that.
It's better than that. So maybe halfway between the two.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
That takes us on to feedback.
We've got core dynamic first.
Oh, core dynamic. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing destruction. What did they say?
Yeah, the core dynamic of the game is destruction. Both players aim to destroy the other using movement and 3 attack mechanisms. They've said 3 attack mechanisms designed to form a rock, paper, scissors style game, which we'll maybe come back to because they say
So
the
we
same
did
thing.
sort of say that, right? That they've done it with counters. So you've got the ground pound, and then you've got the counter, which is the net, right? So-
Yeah, so I'd
so
agree
that-
there's counters. I'm not convinced by the framing as rock paper scissors, right? Rock paper scissors is non-transitivity. A beats B, B beats C, C
That's
beats
right.
A.
Yeah, it's
It was
not.
paired. A and B counter each other. C and D counter each other.
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah. I think we understand what they mean. It's almost what they're saying. Yeah.
So, in terms of okay, it's clear destruction. So, what would a satisfactory be, for example?
Clear dynamic, partially supported by the primary mechanics.
I think it's better than what would a good be?
Yeah. For good, clear dynamic that is supported by primary mechanics. Beyond that, we'd need an integrated set of mechanics. I don't think we're as far as integrated, but
No,
I think
but
we do have the good.
I think they're a set of mechanics. They all contribute to the core dynamic. There's no confusion about it. Yeah, I think that's a good.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, and then that will bring us to feedback. Let's have a look at what they said. So 2 pieces of feedback apparently. Focus on movement and attacks first, and then secondly, ensure that the player's strategy and skill is rewarded and not just button mashing.
So that's a button mash.
Yeah. So let's focus on the first one first. They say focus on movement and getting the attacks right. They just said that they tried to do that. They coded movement first, and then did the rest of the function afterwards.
So the problem is that's not really feedback on the game design. It's feedback on how to build the game and get to the end goal of having a minimal viable product.
Yeah.
Did they have any feedback? Did they report any feedback on the actual game design?
So that second point, supposedly, ensure that player strategy and skill are rewarded, not just button mashing. That's where they say that because there are 3 possible attacks, which I think they mean the attack left, attack right, and attack up, or possibly attack left, right, attack up, attack down. They say, like rock, paper, scissors forms a triangle, the ground pound from the air, the net attack from the ground. Supposedly, if you throw the net, it blocks the ground pound, which we would expect, and also freezes your character in place for a moment. Which
does,
I don't know. I'm not sure I noticed that, but
I did notice that. Yeah, it does briefly. So if I do one now, look.
Right. So they're claiming that because the we've got the throwing a net overrides the ground pound and therefore beats it.
Yeah.
The throwing a spear is particularly effective against the guy who's thrown a net and is therefore stuck in place. And presumably the third end of that triangle is using the ground pound on someone throwing a spear is effective. So I can see that they have tried to think about how each of those attacks interact with each other.
Yeah, I think they've started to think about that, and it partially works. So look, okay, so that's their feedback was about doing that, and that sounds to me like they've kind of been sort of partially successful, maybe. So is that a satisfactory sort of level?
Yeah, feedback was addressed, and the changes have been somewhat successful. I think I'd say with that.
I think we can say we're there.
Yeah.
So okay, final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it was good. I've got to see it a couple of times now because I played it yesterday and saw it again today. Yeah.
So, I mean, from my point of view, I think so. First of all, they've made it hard for themselves by doing a 2-player game, right?
Yeah.
And we normally advise people not to do a 2-player game. But having done one, I think they've kind of, they've done well to try and create something which obviously works and you can play. But with a fighting game as well, you've got to be really careful that the controls are nice and fluid and people feel really in control. But there are probably some basic things they could have done just to improve things in terms of risk-reward strategies. They needed to think of a mechanic that actually introduced risk-reward. They needed to think about level design that had that kind of element of progression, right? I think those are probably the simplest things that would have elevated this and brought it up to the next level. And perhaps they just ran out of time because obviously it's quite a tight turnaround. So I mean, well done on getting a complete game done. It's no small feat when you're working solo, But yeah, I think there are clearly some things they could have added that would have improved it. Right, okay, I think that's the last game for this video. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you again in another video.